We're going to talk about Jenni Byrne and the Conservatives overall, and then we're going to talk about the Liberals and Mark Carney overall, because the last week has kind of been a gong show for the Liberals, and we need to talk about it. So welcome back to the Freedom Pines podcast. I'm your host, Jamie A.B. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into today's video. I just have to say this. If you ever see me and I'm making a weird twitch or I don't know, I look glitchy. First of all, I record on TikTok, upload to YouTube I put it through iMovie and do all of the things because I'm not rich, guys, so that is what I do for now. I promise it'll get better. So if I glitch, it might be because I'm recording on TikTok, or it could be because ever since 2021, for some reason, my body glitches out. Like my eye starts twitching, or so does my shoulder. My arm has before. So if you're wondering, that is maybe what it is, those two things. But let's get into today's video, because first we're going to talk about Jenni Byrne and the Conservatives and this decision of the push to get rid of Jenni Byrne. First of all, I have no doubt that that is probably a push within the Conservatives, as people across the board have said that conservative insiders have told them that everyone is sick of Jenni Byrne, because I truly think that what was missing from Pierre Poilievre's campaign was Pierre Poilievre, okay? I had no idea that him and Jenni Byrne dated. That's tea. That's wild to me that he... Like, I was BFFs with my husband's ex, and that's who stole, one of the people that stole from us. So I completely understand being friends with someone who has dated your husband, but that's, like, not only has she dated your husband, she's working for your husband. That's crazy. I don't mean any offense to that. That's just a very strange dynamic, and no one else will say it because no one's girly enough to maybe think about it like me. But that is a very, like, I don't know how that dynamic works, okay? I also have heard she's part of the same entity that he said he would not hire anybody from. So, if you know what I mean, think globalist. Because here's the thing, I understand where a lot of the decisions that she was making were coming from because of all of the online discourse that I was hearing. Now, I don't know if Pierre's team was even on TikTok. I think if they were, they would have been more, and you don't even have to be on TikTok, but monitor the trends on TikTok. TikTok, they will feed people what they want to see, but at the same time, narratives get pushed out on TikTok galore. And from what I'm hearing, also on Facebook. Now, I don't have Facebook, but that's crazy to me. And I believe it, because why do you think I don't have Facebook? People are crazy over there. I feel if they were on TikTok, they would have put out more pro-choice stuff, because they would have realized that that was like the main thing on TikTok going around, that he was either pro-Trump or anti-choice, which is so ironic, because I wish I made a TikTok, and I don't know if you remember when the Trump administration was campaigning, but it was like Kamala logic, and it would be like Kamala saying something when it go brrr, and then whatever. I had a pro-choice logic one where it was like Rachel Notley saying we're gonna go door to door, and I put at the end pro-choice liberal logic. And I wish they would have done stuff like that. There are so many ways to use trends, and I know it sounds so silly because, first of all, Jagmeet Singh being on TikTok doing his morning routine is very different than making videos and trending videos to get your message across, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to see videos of Pierre Poilievre dancing. No, I want to see what I just described to you, showing very much. It was like Kamala logic. And a video of her saying that she's the border czar but doesn't need to go to the border. Stuff like that. There are so many opportunities to show how stupid the Liberals and how hypocritical they have been, and really get the point across that the only person changing is Mark Carney. I know that they did. And I know the strategy that they were going for was making Pierre look nicer, because a lot of what people were saying was that he was too mean and they just don't like Pierre. They just don't like Pierre because of what they see on the mainstream media. How do I know this? Because my grandparents, my dad also don't like Pierre Polyev because of how they paint it. And then when I talk to them and I say, yeah, but what about this, this, and this? They're like, oh, good point. Yeah, because the media isn't doing their job. They're not weighing out both sides at all in the slightest. And they show very biased clips of Pierre Polyev being angry. So I know why the logic was there. I know why the logic was there. But I just don't know if the strategy worked enough for her to be able to keep her job. People are not firing her because she is a woman. By the way, CBC, they're firing her because they're looking at the track record. And overall, yes, there was a lot of wins with Pierre Polyev, but I do believe the only reason why he did, well, not the only reason besides the Trump elbows up situation, as I lift my elbows up, my bad. Was the fact that we didn't actually get to see Pierre, like apple eating Pierre. I was listening to someone the other day that was like, we didn't see Pierre be Trumpy enough. He's not Trump, but he is on his own funny and could have won that if he was allowed to show who he really was, in my personal opinion, okay? Most of us are sick and tired of the media and want them to be called out. And if Pierre Polyev actually took the chance to go and talk to media, they would have had a way better chance of getting their message out there and show them who Pierre really is. Not everybody's sitting there watching House of Commons like me every single day, right? Most people have jobs. A lot of people are home mysteriously since 2021, but we won't get into that. And by the way, the only pro-choice candidate was Pierre Polyev. He is the only one that was willing to take down mandates. I would have ran with all of these things, but here I also feel as though that the conservatives need to understand that they need to hire younger people. And I heard that Jenni I was watching Wyatt Claypool, the National Telegraph, I believe, and he said that she was the reason he got fired. For shame. So what do you guys think? Do you think that Jenni should be let go? Do you think she should be given another chance? What do you guys think? I think that she should be let go, maybe be a background noise of some sort. But I think overall, and I don't think that he should hire Doug Ford's campaign manager either, by the way. I don't think the strategy should have been to psyop us like the Liberals were doing at all. I think that he got almost as many votes as the Liberals and the Conservatives were very close in vote total. And I know that that's because half of Canada wants a change and needs a change. I'm just confused as to how many people are doing that good in Canada, because the laws and the regulations and all of these things have impacted my life so deeply that I am now yapping to the internet. I don't know how. Grocery prices alone. They genuinely only blame CEOs, and I get it because they are to blame in a lot of different ways, but at the same time, we also have to blame the way that our system is set up. We do not have as many choices, which is ironic because that's what we need, which is not what the left believes in. They do not believe in more than one choice. So anyways, let's move on to the gong show that is the Liberals. Now, I tried to make this video a bunch of times and remade it because things kept happening. Okay, the drama that they can pull out and talk about with the Conservatives is wild to me because of the amount that's actually happening within the Liberal caucus. As in, nobody wants the chief of staff role, which I don't blame them. And why? Why do I feel like that? Because Mark Carney changes his mind every fucking minute, even when he talks. Every single time that I watched him talk this week, he was saying one thing in one sentence and literally saying something else in the other. I do not understand, like this girl on CBC said, how he can say that we have a threat by the USA, and say that they're threatening our sovereignty, but at the same time say that they're allies and that we are going to be under one giant golden dome with them. Sorry, I thought someone was breaking into my house, but it was the sub pump going off for some reason over and over again. It's crazy here. But I do genuinely think that might be the reason why nobody wants to take the chief of staff role. Karina Gould did it for Justin Trudeau, and I can't imagine, because he said that the only person he talked, or not he said, but a lot of the colleagues that have spoken out against him have said that the only people he actually did talk to was Karina Gould and a very small amount of people. And then this was, Karina would send out, obviously, whatever the prime minister said they were going to be on board with. Apparently for the next few years, the NDP and the Liberals said yes to, which is crazy. Because here's the thing, you guys all had, I understand that there was no procedure to get him out of the spot he was in. Fine. So why didn't you act in the House of Commons? Do you guys are going to pretend that there's never been times where people cross the floor? Why did you guys stay in that position in the House of Commons? You could have voted no on the bills. You could have, it doesn't matter if Jagmeet Singh stopped his whole party. It was the whole NDP, and that is why they are dead now, because they stand on nothing, because they did not hold Jagmeet Singh accountable for what he continued to do, which was sell us out for his pension. And right before he left, he goes, never trust a Liberal. Yeah, we know. We know not to trust a Liberal. And we know not to trust you either. A lot of people who voted for Conservatives were NDP voters before. Because we were voting for NDP, because we used to think that they were a uniparty and that life wouldn't be any different anyways. And that the NDP were the different ones. Well, no, they're not the different ones, because if they were, they could have stood up and stood against Jagmeet Singh and the Liberals, if they really were passionate about not agreeing with Justin Trudeau, could have done the exact same. I wouldn't want to be chief of staff of a party that's not all on the same board either. Just saying. Did I say board? I meant page. And I don't remember. Did I talk about the Golden Dome? Because I cannot stand the hypocrisy. If this was ever... Can you imagine what they would be saying about Pierre Poilievre? Can you imagine what they would be saying about Pierre Poilievre? I literally want to make content of, like, me waking up on the alt-right pipeline and stuff like that to be funny. But at the same time, I have to laugh about it because it angers me so much. Because what do you mean that they threaten our sovereignty, but we're going to go into a deal with them that protects us with them? Merges us with them if there's an attack on the world? Sure. I mean, if you know, you know, but on a map that I've seen a whole lot of years ago, it was that the border between Canada and America was dissolved. So if you know, you know. I honestly do not know how long this Liberal government will last. First of all, Mark Carney thinks that he's running on some sort of massive win mandate. And yes, it was a win for both of your parties. Both of your parties had massive wins. So, and when he even talks about the mandates, he says, what does he say? I had a strong mandate to get rid of the crime. No, you didn't, because the Liberals pretend that the crime has nothing to do with the federal government. I had somebody in my comments sticking up for C-75 telling me I'm stupid because they literally blame every single other entity other than the federal government, okay? And what is with Carney and his little faces? Yeah, we see it. We notice already, and I hope you're insecure about it, because it either means that you're lying or trying to come up with a lie, because who does that? Or scared. And yes, we can tell, so you better smarten up because you're representing us on a world stage. And even during that thing with Trump, when I think it was when Trump said, like, the 51st day, he was like, what are you doing? He really hated campaigning because he just wanted to be where he was told he was going to be. And that is quite clear to me. And even Rachel Gilmore, by the way, me and Rachel Gilmore agree on something because hell has frozen over. And she thinks that he is actually kind of mean to female reporters rather than male. And she's right, he is, but I knew that before. Pierre Poilievre is equally annoyed with all of them, okay? I've watched him. I think at the end of the day, too, I will say, I was just looking up on ChatGPT of what the roles were. And it says, in essence, Chief of Staff is PM's most trusted aide, responsible for both managing the PMO and deeply involved in the political strategy of the operation of the government. And I think that him not having a chief of staff really attests to that specific thing. Okay, they have already been in talks of reforming the party so they can change a leader. I think Mark Carney, maybe they have realized that Mark Carney, if they've read his book, does not have good plans for Canada in the slightest, nor does he look at us as humans. He does not look at us like we are humans. The left would know that if they recognized Mark Carney as the billionaire that he is. Because I am not against capitalism. What I am against is a bunch of elite people getting together every year and closing our small business sector down and creating the biggest gap in wealth between, first and third class, or whatever the hell it's called these days. I just think of the Titanic. Biggest gap between the rich and the poor, okay, that we've ever seen. I'm so sick of them dominating everything. Like, this isn't real capitalism. This is whatever it is when 2, 3, 4, 5 families own literally everything in the world. I'm just saying. I also cannot believe that Stephen Guilbeault is in charge of what we see on the internet. And that's just it, right? I just went upstairs because my phone was overheating. So I went upstairs and made my chart of the alt-right pipeline. You guys, the funniest things are on there. Astrology, denying science, beef tallow, sourdough bread. All of these things have a lot of things in common, but we're going to talk about that in my next video. What did you guys notice that stood out to you guys this week when it comes to either the Conservatives or the Liberals? I will make a video, I think, about why I think the choices were good for the Conservatives, because a lot of people just know Pierre and don't really pay attention. So maybe I could show you guys, because a lot of people on TikTok at least question why I was voting for Conservatives and, why I'm voting for the Uniparty and all of these different things. I've been watching these people for a long time, and I've seen some key people who have done some good digging and good research and revealed a lot, and maybe I can help get their, some of their message out, because it's been a while. But other than that, let me know how your weekend's going, and I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope it heats up soon. What is going on? Okay. Oh, and I always mean to say this. If you're tired of the CBC, don't forget to follow me. Bye, guys.